Welcome, glad you're all here. Welcome to another live stream. I'm Dan, your friendly fishmonger at dansfish.com. We do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Let me get this chat fixed. Sorry about that. So if you're hankering for some fish nerd geek out talk, you're in the right place. If not, this is not the automobile channel. Yeah, that's the wrong channel. Anyway, glad you all could make it. Thanks for being here, my friends. Good to see you all again. It's been a day. It's been a good day, but it's been an unexpectedly busy day, and I'll tell you all about that because let's start with that. We'll get into the giveaway and stuff in just a moment, but let's start with the giveaway. Pretty crazy because I ordered a whole bunch of fish that were supposed to come in on Monday as per usual. However, that did not happen. They came today instead. So they arrived today, so I've spent the whole day kind of just getting everything tanked, everything unboxed, everything unbagged, everything medicated and situated. So unexpectedly busy Monday. Usually this or Wednesday. Usually this happens on Mondays, but it's, you know, with all the delays in travel and lack of flights and things, the fish didn't even reach the United States until yesterday. And then there are absolutely no flights to Wyoming or anywhere even close to me. Billings, Montana, nope, no cargo. Basically, anything that has to go through a transfer is not being sent. It has to be a direct flight, and there are no direct flights in my entire state or in the state of Montana close to me. So I had to get them FedExed. So they got FedExed overnight to me, which means they're going to be a little pricier perhaps than normal because it costs a lot more to FedEx fish than to have them sent to an airport. Unfortunately, I think that during this whole time until things normalize or stabilize or whatever, things might cost a little more because it's so much harder to get things. And the costs to get them are higher than we would want. But I'm trying to minimize that as much as possible, but I'm sure there'll be some impact just because shipping's let's say I think shipping is perhaps, I don't know, it might be 50% of the cost of getting fish in. For some fish, even if the fish was sold for a penny, or let's say they gave it to you for free, it would still be fairly expensive just because the shipping is pretty pricey. If you can imagine, you know, an international shipment plus the cost to ship on the United States side, it all adds up. So anyway, that was my Wednesday. It has been insane. I had a lot of things planned for today, but had to make some alterations. That being said, it was exciting. I am thrilled to have some inventory. I'm thrilled that I was able to get some stuff in. I literally, though, was up until, I don't know, 6-7 minutes ago, medicating and just, you know, finishing up everything, trying really hard to get done by the live stream. I did get done for the most part. There's still a few things I'll need to finish afterwards. 307 Wyoming 4E, super chatting $2, getting some of the horse face loaches. Thanks, Sheila. I appreciate the super chat. Hey, Sheila, I saw in a chat, where was it? Maybe it was in one of Kaylor's streams, Kaylor's Aquatic streams, that the bandit cichlid I sold you was beating up on your dojo loaches. Is that true? If that's true, I'm so sorry. I told you that I thought they would go great together. Apparently I was wrong, and I apologize for that. I've never seen them pick on anything. I keep them with cories, keep them with plecos, keep them with little blue-eyed rainbow fish. Which one is it? The signifers. I've kept them with lots of fish, and I've never seen them pick on anything. So I'm really sorry, especially since I know that those dojo loaches are your special pets. So if that's what happened, Sheila, my apologies, my bad. If you need to bring that fish back, just let me know, okay? But I'm sorry. I've honestly never seen them pick on anything, so I thought they would be just fine. Let's see, where was I? So, let me tell you what we got in, and then we'll talk about dragon puffers, because I've learned a lot of new stuff in the last little while that I've had them. And then we'll get to the giveaway and your questions and comments. So, let's see, is my volume is that too loud? Could someone tell me if the volume's okay? I've got a slightly different setup, and I just want to make sure I'm not peaking out and that it's crazy loud and crackly or something like that. If so, I can take the gain down just a little bit and make it better. So if someone would chime in, let me know that. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I got in. So I got some of the kind of new Kubutai botillas in. I got some crystal red shrimp in. I'm going to keep the crystal red shrimp in my blackworm cultures because the blackworms are, you know, just all over the bottom. Volume good, volume perfect. Okay, excellent. The blackworms are just take up the bottom strata of the aquarium, and I have lots of water sprite and things floating in those tanks to help keep the water quality clean. So there's all this area in those aquariums that isn't being used at all. So I think some crystal red shrimp will be just the thing, hopefully, to make that tank reach its potential. And by the way, I am going to be doing a video on culturing blackworms. I actually was starting it today, and then the order arrived. So I hope to be able to finish that. I hope tomorrow. Got some pea puffers, Celebes rainbows, although the Celebes rainbows came in a little shaky, but I think they're going to pull through. Some stir-by cories. I found, again, a new supplier for cories that I think is going to be a good one. So I'm just gradually getting a few new species to make sure that that's actually true. Some sparkling gouramis, because how could you resist? Some batis. And sorry, usually I have pictures up and I can show you all this as I talk about them, but I couldn't today. I was unboxing and taking care of the new fish. Batis are amazing. Unfortunately, that bag came in with a lot of problems, like one of those really cloudy, smelly bags where there were a lot of floaters. But I'm hoping the survivors will pull through. I'm doing everything I can for them. Zebra botillas, which I thought would be Botilla striata, the zebra loach. Nope, turns out that's a tiger loach. I would never order tiger loaches in on purpose, but I have a big batch of them right now. They're beautiful. The issue with tiger loaches is that they're aggressive. So it's the same rules that apply to, say, African rift lake cichlids. You have to keep a lot of them, and they actually might be a perfect companion to African rift lake cichlids. But you either keep one. The problem if you keep one is then they're more aggressive to the other fish, or you keep a big group, and then they usually are aggressive among themselves but don't bother the other fish as much, although they're still an aggressive fish. But if you only have like 2 or 3 or something like that, you'll have a problem. If you only have 1, you could have a problem as well. So they're tricky fish, kind of like, just think of them as Mabuna, and you'll probably be okay. Chattanooga Ed, I got the last dragon puffer, I think. Yeah, I saw that, Ed. I saw the order come through. I haven't replied to many emails today just because it's been insane. But I'm glad you got them. I know you were wanting one. And I'm going to tell you what I've learned about them over the last little while here, as soon as I'm done with this list. Scarlet Batis, Madagascar Rainbows. My favorite platy ever, finally was able to get some more. The Neon Yellow Calico platy. Absolutely love them. Some different placotte bettas. It's warm enough now that I'm able to kind of scatter them around the tanks. So got some bettas coming up. Some longfin Paleotis catfish. Some rice fish, although the rice fish came in very shaky. I'm hoping they pull through. Some gold zebra botillas, which I was hoping would be Botilla Dario. They haven't colored up yet, but I'm fearful they might have just sent me yo-yo loaches. I'm not quite sure yet. Humphead glassfish. These are amazing. They're fake. And they like, I let them out of the bag. They're like, whatever, no big deal. They started eating right away. They started acting active and things right away. I'm in love. My first time getting humphead glassfish, and I'm absolutely in love. Glow light Danios, so Chopre, almost done. Roseline barbs, rummy nose tetras. That was probably the worst bag I got in. It smelled horrible. Like you couldn't even see through it. It was milky white. Half of them were down. I'm hoping I can save the other half. Actually, more than half were down. There's a few that survived the trip. I mean, they're supposed to be here Monday. So 2 extra days in a packed kind of export type situation isn't good. But I don't have high hopes for that batch, honestly. A couple batches of Burmese clouded archerfish, one of which is already eaten and is doing well. They're going to take some time, though. They always come in with worms. In fact, right out of the bag, they had white stringy poop. They always come in with Camelinus redworm, almost always. And they might have some other stuff going on, too. So I've already put parasite medicines in there. Levamisole today. Tomorrow they'll get metronidazole. In a couple antibiotics as well. One of the batches ate really well. The other batch wasn't interested in food, so hopefully they all pull through. Guppies. I have a whole bunch of female guppies. They're called, what are they called? They call them red chili or chili red. I don't know what they actually are. And I needed some males, so I finally got some males and they look good. So that's what I got in. So I'm excited. I got some stuff. It isn't the Nigeria order, and it isn't the super awesome Indonesia order I've been waiting on, but got something in. And then had a bit of a letdown today. Ordered about 70 more species today. No, I ordered them yesterday, and I heard back today that Indonesia shut down, China shut down, and Vietnam shut down. So that leaves like India and a couple other countries. So I don't know how much we'll get in next week, but hopefully we'll get something. So anyway, that's what we got in. If you're a hobbyist and you breed fish and you have a batch of fish to sell, please contact me, dan@dansfish.com. I'm looking to buy. I did get an amazing batch of electric blue Acara in, so thank you to the person that sent those to me. I don't want to say their name in case they don't want it out there. I'm not sure if they do or not, but they look great. They're doing good today. They're eating. They're begging for food. They're acting just like you would expect. So thank you. Had someone reach out that breeds wild type swordtails. I'm very excited about that. Has a line of swordtails from Rusty Wetzel, or that originated with Rusty Wetzel, and another one that originated with Greg Sage at Select Aquatics. So I'm hoping that we can make that happen. Very excited about that. And some other folks has reached out too. So thank you to everyone that reached out. Sorry to anyone that we couldn't make a deal. There are just some fish that don't work for me or don't work in certain quantities. The economics don't work out. But we've been able to strike a few deals, so I'm looking forward to the rest of those coming in. So thanks, everyone. Okay, dragon puffers. Let me just pull up a picture here. For those that don't know what this is, they're pretty cool. So these are the dragon puffers. Now, I've had them for 2.5 weeks, getting close to 3 weeks, something like that. 3 weeks today, actually, I think, is how long I've had them. And, I mean, they're so cool looking. Like, that is just, that's a good picture. That's pretty accurate. Anyway, that's what we're talking about. Everything I read made it seem like they were maybe a little difficult to keep without certain care. That they were super aggressive, which is definitely true. They will eat anything that moves, basically. So you do need to keep them, I think, singly in their own tank. So that part was true. But the part that wasn't true was that they just sit and they kind of never move, and that they'll only take like live moving food. So what I've found in the 3 weeks since I've had them, and in a couple of weeks since they settled in, is they actually interact with me. When I walk up to the front of the tank, they'll actually swim up to the front of the tank. And they'll be like, hey, you got some food? Or are you food? I don't know which one they're thinking, but they come up and they're very interested. If I put my finger up on the glass, they'll come, and I move it because I don't want them to like smack the glass or anything, but they'll come right up to me. They do cruise around the tank, looking for stuff to eat, but it's not all the time. They do cruise around, but they do sit motionless a lot of the time. But when I come up to the tank, they come to the front, and I'll get kind of far away and observe them from afar. And yeah, a lot of times they're just sitting there, but other times they're out kind of looking for stuff to eat. They'll go explore the plants, kind of stick their nose in all the nooks and crannies, seeing if there's anything to eat. So I have to say they're a lot more entertaining than I feared or than I expected. I thought they would kind of just sit, never move. If a fish swam right in front of it, then they would go, and that's like all the movement we would get. That's what I was kind of led to believe in my research, but it has not been my experience so far. Now, I'm not going to say they're a super active fish. They are not. They aren't like, a figure eight puffer or something that's always swimming around and active. They aren't like that, but they're not nearly as boring as I feared, at least not so far. Maybe like in a year I'll be like, oh yeah, they never moved again after that live stream. I don't know, but so far only 3 weeks experience, so I don't know a lot about them, but so far I'm loving them. I moved Big Mama, that's what I'm calling mine. I decided to keep one, to her forever home today. She's settling in well. And the other thing is that they'll only eat like live moving food. Specifically that they really like live fish, which they do. They absolutely love them. And so I've been working under that assumption. I did try a couple things every now and then just to see if they would eat a frozen shrimp or something, and I didn't have any luck, so I stopped. So I haven't tried in a couple weeks or so to do that. But I saw a video on Kaler's Aquatics today where I sent him one on Monday. He got it Tuesday, and he fed some giant bloodworms, frozen bloodworms, and it came out and ate them. And then he fed some frozen krill, and it came out and ate them. And he told me later that it also ate some pellets. So apparently they're easier to get to eat prepared or frozen food, something that's not alive, than I had thought and then I talked about in previous live streams. So I wanted to clear that up. And I'm thrilled at that development, and thank you, Bob, for letting me know about that. It does appear that, at least early on when I was watching Bob's video, and Bob can correct me if he's seen different, but it does appear that they'll eat best if the frozen food lands like a couple inches in front of their face. They aren't the best at like finding something that landed behind them or whatever. So you might have to place it strategically, but I definitely saw a video of his puffer that he's only had for a day out eating frozen foods. So that was pretty cool. Now, I suppose that after a while, when it gets to know that when you open the lid and drop in krill, that's food, that they might be more active in seeking and feeding, and then the placement might not matter so much. But I suspect the placement's a little bit important for a fish like that. But anyway, I thought that was amazing, so I wanted to share it with you all. Petsotics is throwing down a super chat. Thank you so much, Diego. It seems like you're lip syncing, or is it just me? Oh, I hope not. Am I out of sync? $2. Thank you, Petsotics, and thanks for bringing that to my attention. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. If anyone else is noticing anything weird, I guess, with the audio and it being synced up, if it's different than it should be, would you let me know? And thanks, Petsotics, for bringing that possible issue to my attention. JP throwing down $1. Thanks, JP. I don't think there's a comment. I don't see a comment. So if there is, I literally can't scroll down enough to see it. And if I missed your comment, I apologize. But thanks for the super chat. Always appreciated, never required, but it does make the wife super happy. Now, let me tell you about the giveaway today. I think we got 188 here, so we got a good crowd. 189. All right. So on the stream last week, Bob Kaler sponsored that stream. So the dragon puffer that was won by not Alien World Aquatics, Seahorses, is that right? And Paige, and and by John, was it Williamson? That was all provided by Bob. And during that stream, some folks were like, hey, we want to get in on this. So Just One More Fish with Josh gave away some plants last week, and Michael said he would like to give away a plant package this week. So that's what we're doing. Now, if you want to see the plants available, there is a full list of them at the Get Gills Facebook group. So go over to the Get Gills Facebook group, and Michael has listed a whole bunch of plants that are available for the giveaway tonight. And he will cater the package of plants he sends you depending on your experience. So if you're a noob like me with plants, he'll get you easy stuff that you can be successful with. If you're an expert, he's got some rarer stuff or more high-tech stuff, I guess, or more difficult stuff. I'm not a plant guy. I don't know all the correct terms. So he can cater that to you. So from novice to expert, Michael can take care of you. He is the moderator at the Get Gills Facebook group. And so thank you for your service, Michael. I really appreciate it. And over there, he's got, at the very top, I pinned it to the top, is a list of plants he has available. So, yeah. Let's see here. The other thing is, I think the best way to do this is, instead of forcing Michael to put out his private information so you can contact him, if you win Michael's plant package, if you would email me, dan@dansfish.com, like you normally would, then I will get you in contact with Michael. Send an email that has you both included, and then you guys can take it over from there. Last week, I hadn't thought about that in advance because Josh just sprung it on me. Thanks, Josh, by the way. That was generous of you. And so I was like, yeah, just give me your information. You guys can get a hold of it. And then I realized, that was kind of forcing Josh to put his email out in a chat that's, open to the entire world to see. So that might not be the best. So sorry, Josh. I wasn't even thinking about that. Anyway, I'm going to give away, I don't have enough to sell yet, but I'm going to give away a small batch of scuds as well to that winner. My thinking being that you have plants, you want some scuds to take care of the plants. Now, maybe you're like someone who's like, I hate scuds, I don't want scuds. I get it. I'll send them to someone else if that's the case. But I love scuds with plants because in my experience, they eat all the algae off the plants, they keep the plants healthy and looking good. So that's what I'm going to throw in for the giveaway. So a plant package with scuds is the basic giveaway for tonight. So Michael Wentworth, thanks so much. To enter that giveaway, hashtag grow darn it with 3 exclamation points at the end. If you want to win, leave hashtag grow darn it 3 exclamation points in the chat, and you will, there it is, you will be entered to win. All right. So we've done the giveaway, we've done the report. Oh, shipping report. So last week, 100% live arrival. This week, 100% live arrival. And although 2 small issues propped up, I guess they're not necessarily small. I shouldn't say that. But there is one lady that got back to me with a picture of a Kochu tetra that I sent her, a blue Kochu tetra. And the top of its tail fin, part of the fin was missing. So I apologize, Gail, for that. I either accidentally injured it when I was packing it, catching it with the net or packing it, or it got injured in shipment, or it got injured after it got put in the tank or something, it swam around and smacked into something. I don't know what happened, but I always treat instances like that as if it was my fault. So I'll take care of you, Gail. And I'm so sorry that happened. Honestly, they're some of the hardiest fish I have. So I was surprised to see that, but I guess things can happen no matter what, right? There's always a probability. And then Bob Kaler, I just saw right before I came to stream, lost one of the coolie loaches that I sent him. So Bob, I'm so sorry. If the other one doesn't do well, will you tell me? And anyone else that I sent the coolie loaches to, I believe Wichita Falls, has some. I can't remember everyone that I sent them to, but if you got some and they don't do well, would you please let me know, because then I'll know that I need to hold on to that batch longer, or they don't ship well, or whatever. But I think that they're a rock solid batch. I honestly don't think I've lost a single one in all the time I've had them. So I'm hoping it was just a fluke. but I need to know if other people are having trouble so I can take the appropriate measures. So Bob, I was really sorry to hear that. However, you scared me. I saw the title of the video was like catastrophe, one of the new fish died, and I was like, not the dragon puffer, not the dragon puffer, not the dragon puffer. And then you took a while to say what it was, and then you said the hill stream trout, and I was like, oh no, those are awesome too. And you're like, they're doing fine. And so I was like, no, it was the dragon puffer. And then later you're like, I found out it was one of the coolies, and I was kind of like not happy that a coolie loach died, but I was definitely happy it wasn't the dragon puffer. You had me so nervous, man. Not cool, Bob. That's all I've got. Kent's Fish throwing down a $4.99 super chat. Thanks, Kent. Thanks for taking the EBA, and thanks for the video. I was so worried about them. Lol. I hear ya. I know what it is like to be worried about fish you send. So it was Kent, now you know, who sent me the electric blue Acaras. They look great. Like, Kent, there's not... I can't think of anything to complain about with them. They're fantastic. I did get some emails that I saw about when will they be available for sale. I haven't had a chance to get to emails today. I'm so sorry. But 2 weeks will be the minimum, and I expect... they look great, so I expect that they'll be ready to go on 2 weeks from Tuesday. I got them Tuesday. If I remember right, my brain is not thinking well. So same as any other fish, at least a minimum of 2 week quarantine, and I expect that'll be all. I don't think they'll need longer than that at all. In fact, they probably don't even need that much, but that's just how we do it around here. And Ken, I was happy to take them. You don't have to thank me for taking them. I was thrilled to find some nice, healthy captive raised fish, and I like electric blue Acaras a lot. So I've actually been having trouble finding a supplier where I could get ones from that I felt were decent, that maybe didn't have pinch bellies or deformed spines or missing a fin or whatever. So I've kind of not got them in simply because I couldn't find a good source, but you appear to be a good source, so thank you. That's all I've got, I think. It is 7:28, so I ranted for 28 minutes. Wow. Done ranting. Let's get to your questions and comments. If you have a question or comment for me, if you would make it at Dan's Fish, and I will see it because it'll pop up in bright orange on my screen. It'll highlight for me, and I'll get to it. If I passed your question and comment and I didn't get to it, that just means I didn't see it, honestly. It's never intentional. In that case, would you please leave it again, and I'll try to get to it as I keep going down. So we'll keep doing this until the end of the stream. We'll get to as many of these as we can, and I appreciate everyone participating and leaving stuff for me to respond to. All right, thanks to my mods for being here. Really appreciate you. And with that, just one more fish with Josh. What is up, Dan's Fish? So I had 5 eggs hatched since last week and 5 more in water ready to hatch. Thank you again for the help with this new adventure. Awesome. I assume we're talking about Funda Lopanchak's garden rye, my favorite fish of all time. And the fish that I would recommend for anyone starting out with killifish. If you don't know what they are, look at that. Beautiful. Super hardy. Peaceful and easy to spawn, very prolific. So Josh, I'm thrilled to hear it. Thanks again to you for helping out and throwing down some free plants for the giveaway last week. That was awesome. Just one more fish with Josh. Sorry, the killifish eggs. Just realized I didn't specify. I knew what you meant. Dan Slee has Caridina shrimp. Oh my! Yes, I have Caridina shrimp. Believe it or not, I've never found crystal red shrimp to be difficult. They were the first shrimp I ever got and ever bred and raised. And in fact, I was in Santa Barbara at the time. My water was super hard. I was selling some killifish to a wholesaler in Los Angeles, and I walked by a tank and saw they had crystal red shrimp, and I was like, hey, instead of paying me for this, I don't know, for a few of the fish, let's do a trade. So I traded for some of them, and I got them home to my tanks, and they were basically saying, are you sure those are pretty delicate? I was like, man, they look beautiful though. They're like, they don't spawn, they're hard to reproduce and all this. This was back when they were new. This was years ago when they were really pricey. and were fairly new. And I was like, well, I want to try them. So I took them home and I put them in a planted tank. My kind of planted. Probably, I think it was giant salvinia floating on the top and some java moss in there and a sponge filter. That was it. And man, I had those things just booming. They just bred and bred and bred. And the wholesaler did not believe me until one weekend when he came up to visit and look at all the fish and stuff, and he saw the tank and was like, whoa. There were like hundreds of them in there. He could not believe it. So they've always been really easy for me, and now that I live here and have naturally soft water, I think they'll do even better. So yep, got some Caridina shrimp. Have some bee shrimp coming next week if anything moves with the world in the shape it's in today. Chewy LTD, your audio is perfect, and Chewy would know because he worked in the music/sound industry for quite a while, maybe still does. So thank you, Chewy. Wait, the Zen Ginger, this didn't highlight, but I saw it and I thought it was funny. God, don't the co-op people know not to email during giveaways? How rude. You're funny. That's hilarious. All right, Jim Williamson. That's the gentleman that won the Signifer Rainbows. At Kaler's Aquatics, the rainbows I won last week came in yesterday and are doing great. Thanks again. Thanks at Dan's Fish. Hey, you're welcome, Jim, and Bob Kaler's the one that provided all that. So thank you, Bob, for helping with that. I'm glad they arrived in good shape. That's a fish that people sometimes get in wonder about because they're naturally slender. And by the time you get them on Tuesday, they haven't eaten since Friday morning. So every now and then people are like, wow, those are kind of skinny. And I'm like, yeah, they haven't eaten in a few days and they're kind of not a naturally fat fish. So I'm glad yours came in and are doing well. That's one where I'm always, I almost want to preemptively say, send your fish. They're a thin species. By the way, the thinnest ones right now, the ones that are like, look the slenders are the horseface loaches. They're naturally slender species, and when I got them, they were really skinny. They're fattening up gradually, but I don't know that those will ever be like big fat fish. So just be aware of that. If you do get horseface loaches, they're healthy. I haven't lost them. They're doing great. They seem to be super hardy, and they're eating everything I put in the tank. Flakes, pellets, frozen food, live food. As long as it's on the bottom, they seem to eat it just fine. So, but speaking of skinny fish, yeah. Candy Overhauls posted my email. Thank you, Candy. Chewy LTD, I saw a great video today of a guy in India collecting young dwarf channas and zebra danios. Oh, that's awesome. I love doing that. Some of my favorite videos are the ones where I see folks out collecting in the wild, just because it gives me a deeper understanding of the habitats the fish come from. So yeah, every now and then you'll find some channels that do that, and I watch them religiously. I just love watching that. All right. Did someone throw down $10? Someone did. Salem Aquarium. Hey, Salem Aquarium. Thank you so much. Still love your profile picture. That Scarlet Battis, Dario. Hope the ship show of a shipping fiasco gets solved soon. Yeah, me too. Just set up a ringless 10-gallon for my tiger Battis and cherry shrimp that are breeding like rabbits. I'll put up a vid of it soon. Awesome. Hey, thank you, Salem Aquatics, for this $10 super chat. It's very much appreciated, and yeah, I hope so too. I've probably said this every live stream, but I've literally got 10 grand sitting in Nigeria just waiting for the fish to ship, and it's like just killing me. Not just because they aren't here, but because I'm like, okay, so I guess I just fill up all my tanks, even though I worked hard to kind of empty them to have room for the order, I guess now I just fill them up because I have no idea when that order is going to come. And my fear is I fill them all up, and as soon as they're brimming with fish and I'm fully stocked, then the guy from Nigeria calls and is like, hey, I'm ready to ship to you. And I'm just like, oh, great. It's just everything is, it's like playing Tetris. It's playing Tetris with pieces that are not formed properly. That's what this is like. It's just, everything takes longer and is a little bit uncertain. But hey, I got a bunch of fish in today. That's a blessing. It's just, anytime I can get anything in, I'm just thrilled. Zach Billings, the serpent loaches are doing well. I had a mini cycle, because of adding 35 fish at once, but I think I am through it and no losses, just tired from 3 water changes in one day. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad they're doing well, Zach. They're pretty cool fish. This is my first time having them, and I think they're fantastic. I know for a fact, though, that they're going to have trouble with ammonia and nitrite, so keep an eagle eye on that, my friend. And anything you can to make it so that you don't have a spike. If you have to take a working filter out of another tank and swap it out or anything, whatever you got to do, because I'm pretty sure it's not going to take a lot of exposure to ammonia or nitrate, or not nitrate so much, ammonia or nitrite to really have a problem with those fish, just because they come from clear flowing water. I don't think they ever experience ammonia or nitrite at all in their natural environment, probably not nitrate either. And so there's some fish, I always worry about ammonia and nitrite, but with some fish I worry even more, and that's one of them. So yeah, keep an eye on that, my friend. That is concerning, but I'm glad they're doing well, and I hope they do well long term for you. Moonstone, tell us about tank size and good tank mates. And by the way, Zach, it sounds like you know what to do and all that, so I'm not trying to preach at you or anything, but with that specific fish, just like with a hillstream loach or anything, just the alarms go off in my head. Tell us about the tank size and good tank mates. For what, Moonstone? Hang on, let me see if I can figure out. Moonstone, would you clarify what you're asking about? I'm not sure which fish you're asking about. If you're asking about the dragon puffer, I think a 3-foot long tank would be just fine. I plan on keeping Big Mama in a 40-gallon breeder. I think that'll be plenty for her whole life, just because they aren't super active fish. I don't think they need a lot of swimming space, like a rainbow fish that, swims a ton. And as far as tank mates, I don't think anything. I think she will eat anything that she can fit in her mouth and probably severely injure anything that's too big to fit in her mouth, is my guess. I'm not going to risk it. Yeah. Gary's Aquatics, sorry guys, mostly lurking tonight, but enjoying the stream. Hey, Gary's Aquatics, good to see you. And lurk away, man. I lurk all the time. There's so many streams that I'm lurking, and I never leave a comment or anything. And I should, but the thing is, I'm working. And when I'm in the zone, I try to be efficient. I mean, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I easily put in 40 hours or more just in 3 days. So I don't have a lot of time to stop what I'm doing and run over and comment or something. So I totally get lurking. I respect it. Lurk away. No problem. Who's that? Mr. Zen throwing down 20 bucks. Mr. Zen, thank you so much. Greatly appreciated. Never required. But it does make Brenda super happy. From the Zens, happy wife, happy life. You know it. That is too true. That is too true. It took me a few years to learn that, but I think I done did it. Right, baby? Thanks for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Ginger Graves throwing down $4.99, and I have not seen that sticker before. That is awful cute. A lemon playing a trumpet with a blueberry? I'm going with that. Ginger, hope the fish are doing well. I hope you like them as much as I do, and that you're seeing all that neat behavior on the sand and stuff. We're talking about horse-faced loaches. Maria Z, those red Papua Gobies are crazy outgoing, exploring every inch of the tank and don't hide at all. Yeah, I agree. I think they're fantastic, and they are not shy. They are not shy in the least. In fact, when I go up to the tank, they come up to explore me. Same with the glass gobies. The cobalt blue gobies, not as much, but they don't run away from me or anything. The cobalt blue gobies, I bet in another week or two we'll start doing it as well. Yeah, gobies are fantastic. I'm glad to hear it, Marie Z. I'm glad you like them. And I've never seen them really colored up. The pictures show that the male in nuptial dress is going to be gorgeous, but it hasn't happened yet, and I don't know how to trigger them. I don't even know what genus they are, so I'm not sure. I think they're what we usually call bluebelly gobies, the Ikeae, but I can't be sure because they were just mislabeled when I got them, and a lot of the gobies look similar, but I'm glad you like them. Gary Duncan, excited for some more keyhole cichlids and some electric blue acara. Awesome, Gary. Thanks. Yeah, those electric blue acara are looking really, really good, for sure. Candy Overhaul's audio is fine. Oh man, I am so behind. If I'm just to that point, I'd better keep going. Poke Tilecraft 101, audio's good. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know, folks, because I was worried about it. Just kind of a new setup so the sound bounces around the screens and the area a little differently. So just wanted to check. Ugh, Aquatics. My Lineatus spawned. Awesome. Aplochilus lineatus. I have a bunch of fry wild type. Very beautiful specimen. My favorite of the Lineatus. Okay. Folks need to know about this fish. Let me show you this fish. So Aplochilus lineatus, most of us know it and don't know we know it because it's this. It's the golden wonder killifish, right? But that's not their natural form. This is a captive bred form. I believe this one originated in the Czech Republic along with a lot of other really cool stuff during its time of isolation. But what they look like in the wild naturally is something like this. They're fantastic, and they're big, and they're bold, and they're beautiful. This right here. So Aplochilus lineatus is perhaps, I don't know if it's the most colorful of the Aplochilus, but absolutely gorgeous fish. And you can almost never find the wild type anymore. Ever since the golden wonder rose to prominence, it's been very difficult to find wild type. So I am so thrilled, Aquatics, that you've got some and have a bunch of fry. Well, I'm in the market for fish. If you get them to an inch and a quarter and you want to sell them, let me know. I love that fish. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Okay, I'm scrolling up because chat jumped on me, so just give me half a shake here to get where... Okay, this is... It jumped on me. I can't scroll up all the way, so if I missed your question or comment, leave it below. I'm at Andrew Purrs. If you left one above and I didn't get to it, just post it again, please. Would an Amazon puffer do okay in a guppy tank? I think so. I kept my Amazon puffers with Santa Maria Endlers, and I didn't have any problem. Now, Santa Maria Endlers don't have the big, long tails that a lot of the fancy guppies do, so that's the only element there that I'm not sure of, but I've never seen Amazon puffers really bother anything that they can't just snack on. That being said, they did chase the endlers around, not incessantly, not constantly, anything like that. But when I first put them in the tank that already had the endlers in it, put the puffers in, for a couple days, I would see them occasionally chase one. And after a couple days, they kind of learned that this isn't going to happen, and they kind of stopped chasing them. Every now and then they would chase them around or something, but I think they knew at that point that they weren't going to eat them. So that was my experience. I'm not sure if a fancy guppy with a nice long tail would be quick enough to get away for those first couple days when the Amazon puffer is exploring. Is this food? Is this not food? So I don't know for sure, but I would try it myself. I would just try it with a few guppies to start and pay close attention and be able to take them out right away if there was a problem, I think is how I would work that. The other caveat here is that the puffers I had were not full grown. Amazon puffers get to, what, 4 inches or so? And the ones I had were, I don't know, I want to say 1.5 inches off memory. So I don't know if when they get bigger it would be a problem or not. But I haven't seen it happen. I mean, I haven't seen it be a problem. Snap Wrench. Do you still have any flamingo guppies left? I have some female flamingo guppies. Let's check here. Are we out on the site? Flamingo. Aha. So I just have these females. You're probably asking if I have males. I don't. I sold out of males long ago. I'm down to females. So if you're looking for females, I got you covered. If you're looking for males, I can't help you. Did I miss? Fish Room Fever. I'm sorry, Mr. Super Chat. $5. It says keep, and I see a little head wobbling, but I can't scroll down low enough to see what kind of fun that little creature's doing. Looks like the head of a blue pear. Jump roping? I'm guessing. But anyway, thanks. He's awful cute. I just can't see him all. But I really appreciate the super chats, everyone. It helps. And by the way, I'm not begging for super chats. They're not required. Honestly, when I say that, always appreciated but never required, that is the sentiment, truly and completely. So I know a lot of folks are struggling. Don't ever feel like you have to do that. But if you want to and you can, it is appreciated, and I thank you for it. All right. Maria Z, my second generation longfin peppercorns are now spawning. Oh, great! Look at that. Look at that. Grandma's hanging out with her grandkids, huh? That's awesome. Congratulations, Maria Z. I'm glad to hear that. They're pretty. I like that fish quite a bit. You know, those longfin cories, I didn't get them for a long time because I was like, I don't know. Longfin mutation, I don't know. But then people wanted them, so I did get some for customers, and man, they're beautiful. I was wrong. They're really beautiful fish. And the longfins don't impede their behavior or anything at all. Part of my issue was I was like, if they have long fins, then they don't have the spines that they naturally rely on for defense. But in an aquarium with peaceful fish, I didn't have anything bother them, so it seems like they were fine. Gina French, everything you might get in sometime, the Asian rummy nose. So I have them now, Gina. I have Sabois resplendens, the rummy nose rasbora. I've got a group of them. I'm fattening them up. They are getting fatter. They came in pretty skinny. So I'm fattening them up, kind of growing them a bit, because they came in pretty small and fairly slender, and not like emaciated, not like problem. I know what that looks like, not that pinched concave belly thing, just not fat and robust. And I know that fish is bulkier than what I got, so I'm fattening them up. And the other thing is that none of them have developed any kind of rummy on the nose yet. They're that silver blue color, but none have the red face or the orange face yet. So I'm hoping by the time they're fat, they'll also have that. But I don't know. I don't know if they're just too small that they don't have it yet. I'm hoping they aren't all females. They're around 1 inch, I would say, maybe a little bit bigger. So I don't know what size they developed the red face, but I do have some, and I will list them. It's probably going to take a week, maybe 2 of constant feeding before I'm like, okay, that's a rummy nose. That's a fat, healthy rummy nose, and I send it. It's funny, there's some fish that are just naturally slender, and if they miss a few days of eating, they look really skinny, and I'm pretty aware of that. But then there's other fish, like this one, that I just expect to be a little bigger, and I would be disappointed to get if I ship them now. So I'm just holding on them for a minute. Sean, OOTD, Mr. Shelley, how are the Epistofry doing? Still thinking about them. They're doing well. I've got, I think, around 20. They are, how big is that? Fingernail length, maybe? Still, I don't think big enough to ship. Still have their camo colors and everything. But they're eating really well. They're growing fine. So I'm not power feeding them. I'm not doing 5 times a day or anything like that. So they're growing at a steady rate, but doing well. Logan Reagan, do you have female Batis? I do have female Black Tiger Dario, which I think are the Batis you're asking about. If you place an order and leave a note at checkout saying, I would like some females, or I like this specific sex ratio or whatever, I will send that to you. But here's the caveat. I cannot sex the females with 100% accuracy. I sent several out, and everyone that has got them so far that's responded has said, good job. I think you really did get me females. So I'm doing my best, but I'm never confident that the female I'm sending is not a sleeper male or a subdominant male or just not a fully mature male. So there's always the chance that the female could color up into a male. These ones are a little easier to sex, though, I think, than Dario, than the Scarlet Batis. But, so I will do that, but you have to be willing to accept the gamble of, yes, Dan will do his best, but if I order 6 and I get 3 males and 3 females, I might end up with 6 males. I don't think you will, but you have to be willing to accept that outcome if it happens. Basically, what I don't want to do is get myself in a position where customers are upset at me because they didn't get the sex ratio they wanted in a fish that I'm not confident about sexing. I'll do my best, and I do okay with it. And I will sincerely do my best, but it has to be a trust thing where you're like, okay, he'll do his best. That's kind of the end, how I have to approach that one. So, hope that answers the question. Fishkeeper Cole, I found some new aquarium-worthy plants in my local creek. Wow, and I have no clue what they are. Do you know of any identification guides I could use, or do you know of anyone I can reach out to? Okay, so I know like next to nothing about plants, so I don't know of any guides or anything, but I know there's lots of plant groups out there in Facebook land. I know there's folks here in the chat that are knowledgeable about plants, so those would be my suggestions from a guy who knows nothing about it and has not got into those communities or searched for forums or books or information on plants. So I just know I've seen some Facebook groups out there dedicated to plants with some folks that seem to know what they were talking about, but I don't even know enough about plants to know if they do know what they're talking about. And I know that there's some people that are really deep into plants who have recommended certain Facebook groups. I just don't know what they are off the top of my head, so I'm sorry I can't help you there. Out of my realm of experience, really. Herp diversity, would you ever get any Nothobronchius killifish? Absolutely. At the drop of a hat. If anyone out there listening to my voice breeds killifish and has a batch of any kind of Notho, I would take them all. I love those fish. However, Nothos, the reason herp diversity that I don't constantly have them is they're kind of they're not so. It's not so much that they're difficult to find. I know lots of people that raise them, but they're difficult to find in large batches with any kind of consistency and at a price point that I could turn around and sell them and actually make a margin on them. Because this is a business, this is how I make my living, I have to be able to do that. And the thing is that the market's not saturated with Nothobronchius or most other killifish, so folks that breed them don't need me. Like, they don't have any problem selling all their stock. They can sell all their stock like that because everyone wants them and there's few available. So that's kind of the issue. Now, I do know some fish farms or fish farmers or massive commercial scale fish breeders that do raise them, and I can get them. However, the price point still doesn't make sense. For what I bought them for there, I would have to sell them for more than double what you can buy them from directly to from a killifish hobbyist. So I just haven't done it because it doesn't make sense to do it. I don't want to be charging 30, 40, 50 bucks for a pair of killifish that I know people can get from a killifish hobbyist for 20, 25 bucks. Well, I would do 30, but it's going to be more like 40, 45. So my suggestion would be join the AKA, the American Killifish Association. I think it's $35 for an entire year's membership. And if you do that, you'll get their membership roster, And a lot of the folks in that roster breed and raise lots of kinds of killifish, including Nothobranchius. And so you'll be able to get almost anything you could want. I mean, there's some that are really hard to get, but you can get all kinds of Nothos and other killifish you'll be able to access if you join the AKA, and it's so cheap to do. And often the AKA has affiliate clubs, smaller clubs, that are kind of sub-clubs of the AKA in cities scattered around, and you might have an affiliate club in your area. And if you do, man, you can get lots of stuff through those as well. So those are my suggestions. And that's the reason I don't do it, is it doesn't make sense. I could not sell them. For what I'd have to sell them for to make my margin, I would feel unfair doing that. Montana, I'd rather recommend you to someone. Montana Adis, any breeding tips for triple red epistos? I have 3 spawns and the female eats the eggs. In a 10-gallon with sparkling gourami. Okay. So my best tip maybe isn't the best for your situation, but my best tip in a case like that, if a female's eating the eggs, is to give her some competition. So another female or 2. And that male will be super happy if you do that. However, I don't think you can do that in a 10-gallon. I think you would need like a 20 long, at least a 3-foot long footprint to kind of do that if they're spawning, so there's enough room for everybody. But if you have a tank that has a 3-foot footprint, then I would get a couple more females. I'd make sure there's lots of caves, lots of plants, lots of line of sight blocks, kind of just that makes natural little areas of open water for territories for them, so they aren't constantly stressed by seeing all the way across the tank into everyone else's territory. Their territory's kind of shielded from the other territories. And what I've found is that kind of group spawning helps prevent females from eating their eggs, because there's something about the threat of the other females that keeps her super vigilant. So that's my best tip. I'm not a guy that's bred hundreds of species of epistos, but I've definitely done cockatoides and some others, and that works for me. Now in a 10-gallon, that's probably not feasible. It might be. You might be able to get 2 territories in there if you scape it in such a way that the middle blocks the 2 sides. That could work, but it could definitely work in a 3-foot gallon footprint. So that's my best suggestion, and it's not the best because you have a 10-gallon. I'm just hoping you have some other tanks you could do it as well. Oh, something else you could do is the females don't have to be in the same tank. If you have 2 10-gallons next to each other and you put a pair in each tank, and then that'll be great. That'll have the same effect. And if it has too much of effect, then you just slide a piece of paper or something down and shield like half of the pane, so they can only see each other, say on that front half or something, so they can get away if they need to. But that's another way to do it without having a bigger tank. You just have to have another tank. Jeff Chambers! Hey Jeff, good to see you, by the way. I'm at day 7 with Ivan Staffai Fry. Yes! 7 total so far. Been throwing in golden pearls and microworms. They're still in a Tupperware tray. When can I move them to LBB and a 5-gallon with sponge? I assume you meant BBB. BBS? LBB. Is LBB something I should know? I always try to get them to move to brine shrimp. My guess is at 7 days they're probably capable of eating brine shrimp, if that's what you were asking about. And 5-gallon with sponge, I think you should be able to. What I would do is get them onto brine shrimp, or whatever LBB is, and make sure they're eating it steady for a few days. And once they're eating it really well, then I think you could move them to a 5.5 gallon with the sponge filter. Don't have that sponge cranking. And it does help to have some plants and things in there so that there's some areas with less flow. But I would have the sponge go in fairly slowly, and also have some like water sprite or something so the babies can get on the other side of the water sprite if the water movement's too much on the side with the sponge filter. I think that makes sense. What I used to do with fish that really like a lot of oxygen in the water. This isn't necessarily Ivan Stoffi. I'm thinking Lamprichthys tanganicanus, the Tanganyikan lamp-eye killifish. Let me show you this. For those that don't know this fish. This is a fish. So this is a killifish that is endemic to Lake Tanganyika with all those cichlids. Look at this thing. These guys are just so beautiful. And they get like 6 inches. They're big fish. Super active. They remind me of like a hillstream trout or something like that, or a super active rainbow fish. Anyway, raising these guys, how I would do that is I would put them in a 5.5 gallon. I wish I had one right here. With a matin filter. And the water flow would come up and go out the top of the matin filter, right? And I'd have it cranking. But then I would take a piece of sponge and cut it like a matin filter that only went like a third of the way down the tank. And I would put that a few inches from the output of the filter on the top of the water column. So the filter would burst water out and it would come out super fast and it would hit that sponge, and then it would slow down and flow down to the other side where the babies hung out. Because those guys need a lot of oxygen. And that was a way to get those babies a lot of oxygen without absolutely having them smash around the aquarium. So that worked pretty well. It's the same kind of principle I was talking about with your Ivan Stoffi fry. Just have your sponge filter going, but make sure that you have it set up in a way with plants or whatever. If it's not cranking, plants would be sufficient, so they can get away from flow if they need to. So those are my thoughts, Jeff, and congrats. I'm so glad you're raising those out. I hope lots of people that got the Pseudomugil Ivan Stoffi from me can breed them and raise them. That's a fish I'd love to see more common. Charlie Barton, any scuds, anything like, are scuds anything like Neocaridina shrimp? Well, in the sense that they're kind of crustaceans, yes, but, and in the sense that they're benthic feeders, yes. I suppose they're similar as far as their function in an aquarium. The difference is, though, once you get scuds, it's pretty difficult to get rid of them. And their populations boom really quickly, and so when they're in an aquarium with Neocaridina shrimp, they'll often outcompete the Neocaridina shrimp. So they're not an organism you want in tanks where you're going to be keeping shrimp. If you're not going to be keeping shrimp in those tanks, they're fantastic. They keep the algae off. They're the best algae eater I've ever seen in my life, ever, bar none. They get in every nook and cranny. They eat every kind of algae I've ever put in the tank, blackbeard, string, whatever. As long as it's benthic. They don't eat green water because that's free floating, and they're benthic feeders, so they feed off surfaces. But they're a much better algae eater than I think any shrimp. So those are kind of how I would compare them to a shrimp. They're smaller. They're pretty awesome. I love them. I just don't ever want them in a tank where I'm going to be putting Neocaridina or Caridina shrimp for sure. Dragon Layer, do you know those Acars are big enough to spawn, don't you? I did not know that. No. But I do now. Chewy LTD, the killifish are interesting. There's a species that climbs trees. Yep, some of the rivulus will, I mean, not super high, not all the way to the canopy, but yep. They will climb up in the bark of trees, especially if there's like a dead log or something. They'll go into a dead log or in between the log and the bark, or if it's got a little hollow in it, find a crack, go up in there, and that's how they survive. There's a lot of killifish that prefer to be damp, not necessarily wet, I suppose is the way to put it. They're almost amphibious. Gary's Aquatics, my red cherry shrimp tank has had an explosion of new babies. Very excited, thinking when they are big enough, I want to send you some. Gary, that's awesome. Thank you. I did get an email of someone asking if I wanted cherry shrimp, but today's gone so crazy I haven't been able to get back to it. But I do plan to get back to it. So if that was you, I'll be getting back to you. If not, yeah, I love cherry shrimp. The thing about cherry shrimp is whoever, if you want to sell me a group, whoever's interested in doing that, they're not a species that commands a high price. Just be aware of that. We're talking like, I don't know, maybe a quarter or 30 cents each. They're readily available for very cheap. So just be aware of that. But I like them. I like Caridinas and Neocaridinas quite a bit. Dan Slee, awesome story about your CRS, crystal red shrimp. Thank you for sharing it. Super cool. You got it. Michael Wentworth from UGG Aquatics. Yep, got it. Petsotics. I was born in Santa Barbara. Awesome. It's the sister city of Puerto Vallarta. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love Santa Barbara. If I could afford it, I would never have left. I was there for grad school. That's where I did my studies for like PhD courses, and loved it. Walked to the beach whenever we wanted. My office window, literally, because as a grad student, you also teach, and so you have an office. My office at the university, my window, literally, like I could see the ocean. It was fantastic. Okay. Michael Wentworth, happy to help, and I'd love to try to answer any questions here on specifically the Get Gills Facebook about the plants. Yeah, of course. Breeding is pleasure. Hashtag no more professor. Hashtag 3 times equals world peace. You know it. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate you providing the plants for the giveaway tonight. Jim Williamson, they are eating. Awesome. Oh yeah, those signifers eat like pigs. Absolutely. I guess I have skinny fish on the mind because I had a customer reach out this week convinced that I had sent her emaciated signifers, which I know what emaciated looks like, and it's not even close. And honestly, this is the best batch of signifers I've ever seen. To me, they seem very plump, but that's a naturally thin species, so I just had it on my mind. I wasn't saying that yours weren't doing well or not eating or weren't going to do well. I think they're rock solid. I think anyone that wants signifers, Pseudomugil signifer, the Pacific Blue Eye, I've got a rock solid batch and they're doing great. I just had it on my mind because I've been going back and forth with the customer about them. Herb diversity, and by the way, I'm not blaming the customer. If that wasn't a species I knew really well and I got it in, I might think that they were underfed too. They're just naturally not a fat fish. Herb diversity, are flag cichlids safe with guppies? I'm trying to think if I've done that. I've kept them with endlers, but the tank was densely planted and the endlers were well established before I ever put them in there, and I didn't have a problem. I've kept them with humpback limias. I've never kept them with long-tailed guppies. So I don't know what kind of guppy you have, but if it has a long tail, I can't answer that question because I don't know. If anyone else here has kept them with guppies, would you let us know? We're talking about the flag cichlids. HC Aqua, what do you feed your headstanders? I have a few that are looking a bit skinny. So yes, that's very common with headstanders. So the first thing with headstanders is you have to feed them a lot. And they need food in front of them for long periods of time. They're a very slow eater. They basically cruise around and pick little mouthfuls at a time. They don't have the mouth or the dentition to take big bites of food and big mouthfuls. So if you're keeping them, you have to keep them if you're keeping them with other fish, it's very difficult to keep them healthy long term with fish that are quick to the food because they're so slow to the food. So they're in a tank by themselves right now. There's a few endlers right now just because there were some babies in there when I put them in there. And the trick I've found, it's not necessarily so much what you feed them, it's that what you feed them can stay in there for a while. So I'm feeding them everything I feed the rest of my fish. They're eating cobalt tropical flake food, which I don't think is a fantastic food. I'm like, you should feed this food. It's just one that works. It's decent, is a decent price. They're eating PE mysis pellets. They're eating, they like baby brine shrimp. I give them a treat of that every now and then, once or twice a week. And I give them a treat, I don't know, once every week or two of chopped up blackworms. But what I found really works for them, so I feed all that, but I always make sure every day to put in a big chunk of Repashy or algae wafers, something that's going to sink to the bottom and last a long time, because they really do need to graze. It takes them a long time to eat, and they don't have massive stomachs, so they need to have exposure to food long term. So HC, hopefully that works. Hopefully that helps you. That's been what I've found with that species. And by the way, if you do that, they're not a fat fish. They're just not built for that. They're kind of constant grazers. But if you do that, I think they'll probably get their weight back up. But yeah. I almost treat them like fry. My goal with fry is to have food in front of them at all times. I almost treat the headstanders like that. Not quite so much. But I generally want to have food in front of them for at least a couple hours during a period, whether it's an hour in the morning and an hour at night or something like that. Okay, Dragon Layer. The Darios are killing mosquito larvae daily now. One is colored up. Oh man, of course they are. They're going to love mosquito larvae. And I'm glad you got to see him colored up, because that is a sight. Especially if he's colored up and he's displaying. Man, those are beautiful, beautiful fish. I'm glad to hear it. Finally got to Mr. Zen's Super Chat. Thank you so much again. Michael Wentworth, I don't think I've seen you offer any of the less common Crabensis types. Any odds this will happen in the future? I hope so. Sacramonte is the rarest one I've offered. And I did order more in Nigeria. And I do have a supplier in the Congo to get me all kinds of like Nanochromis. Like lots of times of Nanochromis. But I'll say this, just basically anytime I can get them in for a decent price, I do. I can almost always get them in, or at least they're almost always on lists I'm exposed to, or I have access to, I guess. I'm exposed to these lists that I have access to. So I see them weekly. The issue is I don't want to charge people for the markup on those, because, let's see here. Let me just do some, yeah. For the rate that those folks that have them available constantly sell them, I'd have to be charging like, I don't know, $50 to $70 a fish, and I can't even guarantee the sexes because they're not selling me pairs; they're just selling me fish. So it's the same issue with the Nothobronchius killifish. It's just the price isn't right. However, I do have some suppliers, and the Congo order, I think I've got a dozen species on order from the Congo. And from Nigeria, I think it's just Sacramonte that I have, and maybe another one. Maybe there is two on the Nigeria order, but there's a lot more of the Nanochromis types that are coming out of the Congo. So that's it. I just got to wait till certain orders come to fruition. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Like 40, 50, 60, 70 bucks for one fish. And someone that wants to breed them, I have no idea what the sexes are that I'll get. So that's why I don't do that. Michael Wentworth, I don't specifically recall seeing it okay, gotta slow down. I don't specifically recall seeing it in any of your build videos. I imagine that you use thermostatic mixing valve on your auto changes system. Can you elaborate? Yes, I do. I've shown it in a couple videos, but yes, that's what it is. I might be able to show you the brand. Let me see. Show you exactly what I use. If I can find it like quickly on my account here. I can't remember if I got it on Amazon or if I got it on eBay. Oh, no, this isn't going to be, it's not going to be quick. But it's just like a brass mixing valve. It's not a digital one. And you have to be careful, though. So I have a water heater kind of dedicated to the fish room. So I don't have the water super hot. So the water in the room down here is heated to 110 degrees. The water outside in the garage is only heated to 90 something degrees, which means that I can use a standard thermostatic mixing valve and get enough cold water in there to cool it down sufficiently for the fish. But you have to be careful. If you're tying into your home water heater and you heat the water to, I don't know, above 110 degrees, because that's as hot as I go. Say 120, 130, 150, I don't know how hot water heaters go. Then with a standard thermostatic mixing valve, you might have trouble being able to turn it far enough to get enough cold water in to adequately cool that water down to, I don't know, 75, 77, 80 degrees, whatever your preference is. So your setup, you might need something different. You might need something digital or something that can bring in more cold water than I'm using. But yes, absolutely, that's what I do. Water from the water heater goes into it, cold water goes into it, it mixes in there, and water that's about 75 degrees, 77 degrees comes out of it. And then goes into the charcoal filter blocks. Okay, chat jumped. I am sorry, I'm scrolling up to try to find the latest one that I can see. Okay. Dragon Layer, my Dario looked like 2 to 1. The one female doesn't have the black dot on his tail. Yes, I think I sent you 2 males and 1 female. Yep. So I did it right on that one. Fishy Fun 57. I am getting 2 male Apisto Agassizi, I assume, golds. Can they go into a live bear community tank with appropriate hiding spots? In my experience, yes. I've kept them with guppies, I've kept them with endlers, I've kept them with humpback limias, but I think the last part of your comment is the clincher, which is with appropriate hiding spots. So these are densely planted tanks, lots of Java moss on the bottom, lots of water spread on the top, and lots of little pipes and stuff scattered throughout for them to have. I have not had a problem with that. There are some fish, like large sailfin mollies might be a little aggressive. Some of the large swordtails might be a little aggressive, but they also might not. I think you're going to be fine. Unless you're doing some, I don't know, really big... Some of the goodyids will definitely be aggressive and like it colder, but I'm assuming you're talking about like guppies, platies, endlers. Those will all do just fine. Swordtails probably as well. Just those big sailfin mollies can be... just somewhat aggressive, but that might not be a problem. Haven't tried them with mollies. Balloon mollies would be fine. Those are derpy. Chewy LTD. Any luck getting any fish out of the AKA? I know that Ken was breeding Madagascar killifish. I haven't got any out right now, but I'm still in the market. And it's the same issue as I described with the Nothos, so I won't go into that in detail. But most killifish breeders are able to sell theirs at full price without any problem. So it doesn't make sense for me to go in and say, like, what would you sell them to me at, like, you know, a quarter of that price so I can sell them? They'd be like, why? So I'm still exploring it a little bit. And maybe I'll find a group or two that are like, man, I've got 300 of these. I just need to... just need to get them out, but so far no. Michael Wilson, they are so brilliant when mature, pairs or large groups best of the rummy nose rasbors. I've had aggression deaths in extra males. Yes, I do know they're somewhat territorial. Do you know how big they are, Michael, when they start sexing out? I'm not seeing any rummy yet, but again, we're only at an inch, maybe a little over an inch right now on those. And I love them. I mean, I've seen full-grown males that are all brightly colored and stuff. I know what they will look like, but I don't know when that coloration occurs. Michael Wilson, breeding Apistos, I've seen and heard from others that females eat fry often without some sort of nightlight. Oh, that's a good point. Something about the darkness spooks them into eating their fry. # breeding is pleasure. Yeah, that's a good point too. I didn't think of that. I do have night lights. Every row in my fish room has an LED little wall-mounted nightlight plugged into the ceiling. So there's just a little moonlight, if you will, shining around. It's never completely dark. And that way at nighttime they can still see and take care of their spawns. Montana Ads? I'm going to go with Addis. Montana Addis. I most definitely have a fish house. Good. I like how you think. And don't be afraid of my last name. It's pronounced like AIDS. Okay. I said it and I was like, I hope people take it like teaching aid or Band-Aid. It's Montana AIDS. Good to know. Thanks for clarifying, because I was a little bit like AIDS, and then I was like, oh, that could be a downer. Addis? Thanks, Montana. Gary Duncan, will the wild type Lineatus breed with the Golden Wonder? Absolutely. They're the same species. The Golden Wonder is just a color variation of that species. So it'd be like a chocolate retriever, like a chocolate lab and a black lab. They'll breed together, same species, just different colors. Well, okay, that's a bad example because the Chihuahua is technically the same species as a lab. So let's take a Tequila Sunrise Guppy and a Red Cobra Guppy. Same kind of thing. Moonstone, they get big? Question mark. If we're talking about the Aplochilus lineatus, yeah, about 3 inches, maybe 4 inches, a really big old male. Learning here, thought they were all nanos. Shows what I know. Yeah, no, the Aplochilus lineatus is definitely not a nano fish. It can get 3-4 inches. Fishy Fun 57. Next week, 2 Fire Gold Episto Agassiz. Okay, I think I got that one. Tom Patterson, would scuds or otto be better for green hair algae? Oh, definitely scuds. Ottos will, in my experience, not really eat green hair algae. They'll eat diatom algae. So they'll eat soft algae that kind of coat surfaces, but I don't think they're going to do well eating stringy algae, like hair algae and stuff like that stick out and kind of waft across the water. That's definitely a job for scuds. Brian Plant E. What dewormer do you use when you get an import in? So Brian, I've got an entire playlist on how I medicate. So if you want to know the details on the antibiotics and dewormers and everything I use, please check out that playlist. It goes over in excruciating detail. But levamisole, metronidazole, praziquantel, flubendazole, and if there's anything, that's kind of the go-tos for kind of prophylactic measures. And then if there's anything specific that I have to do that those don't treat, then maybe some other specialty stuff. But those are the general ones. And, you know, often I'll see Facebook posts or comments or whatever where people say, got fish in, treating with this med to take care of the worms or the parasites. And it's like, that's great. But you do have to be aware that certain meds take care of certain medicines. It's not like there's one medicine that takes care of all of them. So levamisole is pretty good for roundworms. But there's then all kinds of other nematodes and all kinds of single-celled protozoans and things like that the other medicines help take care of. So that's why I do such a plethora of them. Just one more fish with Josh. I have a 33-gallon long setup under my tanks just for scuds. That sounds awesome. Past 2 weeks, I can't find any. Just cleared it out and found a convict fry. Oh, I have no idea how it got in there, but no more scuds. I bet you anything, Josh, that if you remove that convict fry, there's scuds in there somewhere. If you have a sponge filter, they burrow into that, and there's probably a few. But, man, what a story. Convict fry got in there. Yep, probably went out the outflow, landed down there, and was like, man, this is better than the main tank. Oh, that's hilarious. I'm sorry about that, though. A scud culture is super useful. Priscilla MK Art, Danny, Dan's fish does plants? That's mind-blowing. I don't. But luckily, Michael Wentworth does. I do like, Java Moss and Water Sprite. I'm a plant guy. Oh, thank you, Bob. Bob, throwing down a super chat of $5. Boom. I can't see it. Boom. Rocky. Thanks so much for reminding me of the time, Bob. I appreciate it. fact, let me get back to this to see if I missed anyone else. Hope I didn't. I did. Oh, Fish Room Fever, I can see her coming now. Keep it up. With my barbell weights. Thank you. Sand Creek Aquatics throwing down $1.99 with a thumbs up. Thank you, Sand Creek. I appreciate it. And then I got down to Bob's. Okay, I think I got them all. Guys, if I missed your super chat, I'm super sorry. Every now and then, I'll read comments on a replay and I'll see that I missed one. And I always feel super bad. And I'm sorry about that. I never mean to do that because it does help. And it means a lot to me that people would be willing to do that. So anyone I've ever missed your super chat, just forgive me. I'm sorry. It's not intentional. Okay, I'm scrolling because chat jumped. And now we have 4 minutes. Trying to see where it jumped to. Okay. Here we go. Jennifer Weaver, keep your fingers crossed. Okay. Hatching lots of Chilotharina alani wapoga. Awesome. Should be getting... Limosimian Ziphidus also. Good. That's a beautiful fish. What is it? Liamiosimian. I used to know it as Rivulus, but they've changed all the names, and I didn't bother to learn all the new names. Hey, says 44 Mag Guy, fishing more. Well, hello, right back at you. James Handy, how come you don't get discus? Discus are kind of specialized. Well, there's 2 reasons. I almost did. I almost ordered some this week. Like, I can get lots of discus, and every week... well, not every week, but every now and then I find myself having to remind myself not to get them. But the main reason is I don't keep my fish rooms hot enough. So I don't want to have to individually heat tanks. And I keep my fish room in the mid to upper 70s generally. So now I'm keeping the garage a little warmer. I have the garage set to 80. So I have a little cooler water down here, a little warmer up there, but still not warm enough. I like to keep discus at 84 to 86. And so since I heat the entire room, and I don't want to put heaters in tanks, and I don't want to keep the whole room up at 86 degrees, that's why I don't get discus. The other reason is that even if I did have one discus tank at 86 degrees, I have an automatic water change system, and the water comes out at about 75 to 77 degrees, and I like to change about 1/3 to maybe 40% of the water every day in my aquariums, because I can stock them really full of fish if I'm doing a big import. I mean, right now they're a little empty because it's been hard to get fish, but generally I like to put a lot of fish in there, so I need to keep the water very clean. And so if the discus tank is at, say, 86 degrees, and then it does an auto water change of 75 degree water, I don't want them to experience that nightly yo-yo, because I change the water at night of 86 degrees, whoops, now we're down to 78. Gradually back to 86 degrees, whoops, now we're down to 78. So I don't want to do that to them. So I'm just not set up for them. Moonstone, don't even try. It's like my emails. Just do the best you can regarding keeping up with the chat stream. Oh yeah, I don't try. I would find it, I think people would get less out of it if I didn't take real time with each comment. We are now at 8:29, so this might be the last one. We in the house, says Moonstone. Not that one. Let me find another one. Okay. Fishy Fun 57. How long can coolie loaches stay in travel? Next week I'm expecting some, usually 48 hours, but who knows with the curries these days. Yeah. It so depends on how they're prepped and packed. I mean, conceivably a coolie loach could travel for, not that you'd want to do this, but for a couple of weeks or so and be okay if it's prepped properly and packed properly and the weather isn't too cold so the temperature stays okay. I mean, that's conceivable. That could easily happen. But I would say that if the person knows what they're doing, 3 days wouldn't really concern me, especially if you live somewhere where it's not super cold out, because heat packs can wear off after 3 days, 3-4 days would probably be okay. But it completely depends on the shipper and how and what the fish is like at the moment of packing, and then how the person prepares it. So I don't know. I don't know the person you're getting them from. I don't know how long they can keep them in the mail. So I would ask them specifically. Okay, just a reminder that Punchy Paints is next at about 9 o'clock my time, so in about half an hour. And we are at 8:30 on the dot. Look at that. Look at that. Ain't going over. So we're going to do this giveaway. This giveaway is for some plants that are being provided by Michael Wentworth. Thank you so much, Michael. The list of plants can be seen at the Get Gills Facebook group, so if you want to see what's available, check that out. He'll cater the plants to your experience. If you're a novice, he'll get you easy stuff. If you're an expert, he can get you some harder stuff. So no matter what your experience, he's probably got something for you. And to claim this, I'm going to draw it in just a moment. If you're drawn, to claim it, please send me an email, dan@dansfish.com, and I will send an email to Michael and make sure you two get together so that you can work out the shipping details. For my part, I'll be sending you some scuds so that you have some critters to keep your plants nice and healthy and algae free. And send me an email, dan@dansfish, with your first and last name and your shipping address, and I'll send those out Monday. So that's how we're doing this. And the winner is Michael Kamen. Michael Kamen, you have won. You have 1 minute to respond and let us know that you're here and that you, I don't know, that you accept them. Just let us know if you're here. And drum roll in. I know, I kind of give up on drum rolling. I just don't do a good job with it. I don't know. And also, hey, Michael Kamen is here. Congratulations, you won. So send me an email, dan@dansfish, first and last name and your shipping address, and I'll get you in touch with Michael Wentworth for the plants. So congratulations. Thanks for playing. Thanks for being here. Thanks to my mods for doing what they do. I very much appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the super chats. Never required, but greatly appreciated, and does make the wife super happy, although she hates it when I say that. And it does help. I mean, this is my living, so every bit helps. And thanks to everyone that left a comment or a question. My apologies to anyone I didn't get to. We only have so much time, and I like to dig into each question or comment and try to do more than say yes or no. Try to elaborate a bit and maybe say stuff that's useful to more people than just the person that asked the question. All you lurkers, I'm with you, Lurker Nation. Everyone watching on the replay, thanks for being here. We do this every Wednesday, so we'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful time.